We are a little late to the party, but She-Ra is back with Season 2 on Netflix. Let's talk about it. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm one of your hosts, as always, C-Dubs. And as you guys can see, I'm running solo on this video. Guys, today I got done watching She-Ra Season 2. Or what is better to be described as the first half of Season 2 of She-Ra. So this season has been broken down into two separate parts, apparently. We're going to get the first 6 episodes and then the next 6 episodes, or whatever the case may be. However, I, myself, being a champion of the first season and an old school cat who has seen the entirety of the original and the entirety of the Masters of the Universe, every incarnation of the Masters of the Universe, if you will, He-Man, including the crappy space one, okay, I am the utmost authority on everything 80s nerd, if you will. So with this being out and me championing the hell out of the first season, Jay was going to tackle the review for this, but who better than me, right? So the first season, man, I loved it. I loved almost every single change. I had no problems with it. I know everybody was up at arm's length about her thickness, her height, that they were all children, that she wore shorts, that there was really heavy lesbian undertones, and all kinds of crazy nonsense. And I felt that the show was very organic in its nature, delivered all of that very well, and I wish I could say I felt the exact same going into Season 2. Season 2 is a very interesting hodgepodge for me because I feel that maybe their critics of the first one maybe saw something that I didn't. I've gone back and rewatched the first season again and still enjoyed the first season though, so I don't know. I'm a little confused and perplexed because I think what happened is maybe the writers of this show have listened a little too intently to their critics, the ones that were bashing them, instead of the ones that were championing them. Because I found this season to be really all over the place. I felt at times, instead of maybe when they should be trying to pay homage, they were smacking you in the face with something. Or when they were trying to be original, they were falling into plot holes that these, I want to say these dumbed down children's shows, okay, tend to fall in. And again, if you're a fan of any of those, there is definitely a place for the dumbed down versions, if you want. I don't want to call it dumbed down because it's just not necessarily appeals to an older audience. And yes, sometimes, I'm sorry, it just maybe they think not as highly of your children as possible, or the children of today, as they should. And this show kind of starts to go into that direction. Did I hate it? No, I enjoyed this season. I don't even know if I can give you the good, the bad, and the badass, because every episode there were things that I liked, things that I hated, and things that I were just downright confused on where they were going or why they were going. Now, part of it could be because it just kind of ends and we don't get the follow-up yet. Hopefully we'll be getting it maybe in the summertime or just after the summertime, going into the fall, hopefully. But I just didn't feel it. It felt like it just left me hanging and left me off. We get I figured that, maybe we would get some closure to some of the questions in part 1 or season 1. We didn't. There's, I think it's episode 2 where they kind of do this whole D&D type of board game to try to strategize against the Horde, and they go back to some of their older costumes, and a lot of us older fans were super excited about that episode. But you quickly realize that, for instance, Catra and her cat power, which my fingers were crossed that somehow she would eventually get, and sure, she still may, but the fact that it was in an episode and it was played up to as, oh, she doesn't have that power, and then, Bo was like, oh, well, just for the sake of this, she does, makes me believe, that's just a letdown that I'm not going to get that, though she is an anthropomorphic feline cat, if you will. I was still hoping that somehow she would get the magical mask that made her maybe more vicious, more agile, more of a threat or a counterpart to She-Ra, by being able to turn into her cat form. And again, they still may do it, who knows, but it just left me hanging to know, it made me sad to know that I'm probably never going to get that. And some of their outfits, I was like, oh, yay, that's cool. But then I was like quickly, again, realized that we're not going to ever get those. Even though Bose is still very faithful, and I'm still a big fan of the character, when we got to meet his parents, where I championed everything feeling organic and natural, with any of the undertones or even the upright in your face, just angles of, representation of the LGBTQ. Okay, in the first season, I felt that it was a little forced here. I have no problem with both of Bo's parents being both male, and or showing any sort of affection on screen. It just didn't feel like it was needed. And then in return, because both of his parents are male, maybe you start to question, maybe that's why he's the way he is, when I think to say that just because you have the same sex parents, shouldn't decipher on the type of person or what your sexuality will be growing up or becoming in your own individual, where, there are questions, some people could sit here and say that, I didn't feel Bo had any sexual undertones or homosexual undertones in the first season, though he wears a midriff or whatever, say what you want to say. I didn't get that. I felt like him and Glimmer had this somewhat connection. And I actually did a ship episode where I shipped the two of them together. But, slowly he started to give a little bit, maybe more, the possibility that maybe he would be gay. What, again, is fine. However, that's going to lead astray the uneducated, if you will, or the too young to fully understand, if they're watching this show and they see two daddies, that maybe that's why Bo is the way that he is, if he does turn out to be homosexual. And it didn't feel organic like I praised the first season. And, I don't want to say I don't like the show again, but I just, for all the praise that I gave it, I just couldn't give it again, especially when we got to that point. I did like the characterization of them, their storyline, how they didn't want Bo to be a part of the resistance, how they didn't like and or trust even the princesses of power. I liked all of that. Again, it just, I feel more for the people who aren't, again, uneducated or too young to understand, or going to get the wrong impression based off of what they delivered to us. And that's kind of just a letdown for me. Another thing that I just don't like, and it's not, again, has nothing to do with the sexual undertones of Scorpina and Catra's relationship. It's the fact that she just keeps on keeping on, trying to get her attention, and hey, pay attention to me, I just want to be with you, I just want to spend time with you. Listen, if someone doesn't want to pay attention to you or doesn't like you in that way, or is not, there comes a point in time where you have to have some self-respect. Okay, and though you love and or like this person, enough self-respect for yourself that, maybe this person isn't the one. Maybe this person isn't worth your time. And we still may get that in Season 2 or the second half of Season 2, but as of now, to me, it just makes, Scorpina this whole, oh, please pay attention to me, and this like little lost puppy dog. And there was some hope that it looked like it was going to turn around and Catra was going to kind of give in, and she did for a few seconds, but I think like the next episode, she's basically threatening everyone's freedom in life, that if they don't do exactly what she says, they're all going to go into the dungeon. Okay, and Scorpina kind of turns around to be like, hey, Catra, and she basically looks at her and he's like, you too, you'll go there too, I don't care about you. And I'm just like, and I get it, part of that is a confliction of Catra, and that's probably the angle that they're playing, that Catra is going to come to the realization that she likes Scorpina or whatever the case may be, but Scorpina should not be this lovesick puppy dog. If we're trying to be progressive in teaching kids the way the world actually is and the way the world actually works, okay, and that it's okay to have these feelings for the same sex, okay, then we need to be progressive, and we also need to teach those kids, value, self-value, and not just fall to the beck and call and whims of the person that you like or want attention from. So I felt that it was very forced, very unorganic, very just tedious in nature, spreading a lot of the wrong message that I feel the first season did naturally. And I feel like I'm bashing the heck out of this show, but I'm not. But these are the big points that both seasons were kind of known for, and what I feel this show is trying to be progressive in nature and show the world, okay, and what a lot of its haters are hating on, but I feel that they're giving fuel to the fire by not making it as organic as it was. So moving on from all of that nonsense, what did I like, guys? The artwork is still on point. I still like it. DreamWorks is killing it. I like the idea that Hordak is learning more of, or basically letting on that he's not from there, that there is a multiverse or other planets or other dimensions. There's fingers crossed, even though I hear the opposite, that maybe Eternia and maybe we'll get He-Man or Prince Adam or something to that effect in there. Not that this show needs it. I don't think that it does, but just to know that it's out there would please a lot of people, or hopes that we'll get a spin-off in reverse, how She-Ra span off from Masters of the Universe, that maybe we'll get it in reverse here, and it would be really, really cool to kind of see that. Not to mention, to see Skeletor would be awesome. Who doesn't want more Skeletor? You can never get enough Skeletor, in my opinion. But it would be, again, really cool to see that. Some things that I wish we would get a little bit more of. I forget the witch's name that was in the first season, and she was obviously in the original series as well, and her broom companion. I wish they were more in it. I know we saw the stuffed animal. Again, I'm forgetting the name of it, but the stuffed animal of the winged owl, the big-eared owl that would fly, that was in the original Bo's companion. I wish we would get an actual character in like that to play off of Bo. I really did like the union of Swiftwind and She-Ra, learning how to be, a team, be in sync with each other. I really did like that. I love the Princesses of Power, how they show and how they can play off against each other's powers, and how they can effectively make each other's powers that much more powerful by working together and working, in unison. For instance, with the water ability and the ice ability, making it that much stronger, or the water enhancing the growth of the plants. It was just awesome, in my opinion. It was kind of cool to see Grizzlor, but I still wish we would get a little bit more of the old school villains from She-Ra, just playing a little bit more of a part, instead of focusing on these nameless henchmen that follow Catra and Scorpina around. It would be a little cooler to get a little more from the Horde, because again, I do believe that sometimes a hero is only as good as their best villain. And point in fact, look at Batman and Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Part of what makes those two characters so great is they have such interesting villains across the board, from aesthetics to story to power set to just all of that. So if we would make this show a lot better, and same thing, look at the original She-Ra, the original He-Man. They have such a huge and interesting rogues gallery. Let's try to make that happen, DreamWorks and Netflix. Fingers crossed that we get more of that. I'm hoping that season 2 wraps up a little better, doesn't leave us too hanging. We get some closure on some characters, and maybe again the organicness and the direction of the show will kind of find its way again, and not just try to please across the board. PC for PC's sake is not right. You're just doing it to please people. You should do it because it is right and it is organic for you as a person to portray that or convey that. So fingers crossed, guys. Overall, I'd give this a low 3. When I gave the first series, the first season, a 5 out of 5. I would say definitely watch it if you're a fan of the franchise and if you're hoping for something to get better. Plus, I don't want it to end. I want it to get better. So fingers crossed. And I know most of the reviews out there are even more positive than I've been, but this is just me being honest with you guys and how I see things. So hopefully you guys see it my way. If not, we could talk about it in the comments below. Again, I did not hate it. I just feel a little let down by it is where I stand. I'm a little bit in the middle of the ground right now. Hoping that the second part to season 2 brings me back in as a diehard fan as I was of the first season, guys. So let us know in the comments below, what did you guys think? Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? Do you not care? Did you give up on the show? Are you still fingers crossed for the second part? Don't forget to Hulk smash the hell out of the like button. Smash it like you mean it, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click that notification bell so you're part of the notification team. So every single time we drop a video, you know when we're on going to be on your YouTube screen, guys. So guys, until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.